Greetings, wizards and wizettes. It's your boy, LooksLikeLethal, and today we are going to be taking a look at Seth Manfield's Mono Red deck. This is his updated deck since the World Championship. So if you're interested in getting a breakdown of his deck and seeing a little gameplay in the Mythic ladder, stick around. Okay, let's first take a look at his deck. So, just so you know, I play best of one in standard on the Mythic ladder. So, this deck is specific for best of three, of course. If you're interested in seeing best of three, please leave a comment below, or just leave a comment below and tell me what do you mostly play? Do you play standard? Do you play modern, historic? Are you playing best of one, best of three? Do you play ladder play at all? Competitive play? Leave a comment below and let me know, please. If you're new to the channel, also be sure and click the red subscribe button. I would much appreciate it. So without further ado, let's take a look at the deck. The reason why I mentioned that is because the main deck here is no different than his Worlds deck, right? It's pretty much the exact same. So the real difference is the changes that he made in the current deck that he's playing versus his Worlds deck is in the sideboard. Having some issues here with the green screen. But okay, so let's take a look at the deck. We have four fervent champions, right? They have first strike and haste, and when fervent champion attacks, another attacking knight you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Equip abilities you activate that target fervent champion cost 3 less to activate. So two things here about fervent champion, right, is that when you get multiple fervent champions on the board, they'll buff up when they attack, and they'll get 2/1. There'll be 2/1 first strikes. If you have three, you can have up to a 3/1 first strike. You can put these on the buffs on the same fervent champion if you want, or you can distribute them evenly. Also, the 3 less to equip is great when you have an Embercleave on the board and you need to move it to a fervent champion. It's basically a free move. So then we have 4 Scorch Spitters, right? So when Scorch Spitter attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking, as well as its normal damage. So this is really good when it's paired with something like Torben. So in the deck, right, well, let's go through the cards and then we'll talk a little bit about strategy. So we've got Rimrock Knights, which is Boulder Rush, right, as the instant that a target creature can get +2 until end of turn. And then you get, on the adventure side, a 3/1 Rimrock Knight that can't block. It can also take advantage of the Fervent Champion buff. Then we have Robber of the Rich. Everyone should be familiar with this card. It has reach and haste, and whenever Robber of the Rich attacks, if the defending player has more cards in hand than you do, exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attacked with a rogue, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast a spell. People hate this card. It's a great card. Very fun to play. Runaway Steamkin. Whenever you cast a red spell, if Runaway Steamkin has fewer than 3 +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter on Runaway Steamkin. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Runaway Steamkin, and you can add 3 mana. So this is great when you have multiple of these on the board. You start buffing them up, right? And then you can continue playing cards in your turn by removing counters and adding 3 more mana. And the card that you play, since of course this is a mono red deck, it's going to add another counter back to Runaway Steamkin. Everybody should be familiar with Bonecrusher Giant. It has Stomp, which is the instant 2 damage that can't be prevented to any target. And then the adventure side of it is a 4/3 creature. And whenever that creature becomes a target of a spell, Bonecrusher Giant deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. Then we have 4 Annex, right? Again, these are all pretty familiar cards by now, seeing as Mono Red is the #1 deck in the current meta, the most played deck, I should say, in the current meta. And most of these cards are pretty standard. So Annex power is equal to the devotion to red. Whenever Annex or another non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 red satire creature token with this creature can't block. If the creature had power 4 or greater, create 2 of the tokens instead. So what a lot of people will do, if you happen to have this out, since it's a legendary enchantment creature, you have another one in hand, you can play it on top of this, and you'll end up, if your Annex has devotion of 4 or more, then you'll end up with 4 1/1 creatures, which in conjunction with Torben can basically seal up a game for you by overwhelming the opponent with aggro. Then you have Light Up the Stage, which allows you to dig through your library. Has spectral cost of 1, so if you use it after you've done damage, it only costs 1 mana as opposed to 3, and you can exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn, and you may play those cards. Then we have 3 Torbens, right? If a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. Very powerful. And 3 Embercleaves, right? Seth says, the deck is really centered around this card. Believe in the cleave is kind of the tagline for this deck from Seth, and it's a flash legendary artifact equipment that the spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. So normally it costs 6, but if you have 3 mana and 3 1/1s on the board as an example, and you attack with all 3 1/1s, then you'll have enough to cast Embercleave and so on. For each attacking creature, it costs 1 less, so that you can get the cost down to simply 2 red mana, which is very nice. When Embercleaves enters the battlefield, attach it to a target creature you control. So remember, it has flash, so as long as they don't have a Teferi on the board, you can cast this during your attack after they declare blockers, which is very nice. It can seal up a game for you. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has double strike and trample. And then if that creature were to die, if you were trying to take out one of their 6/6s as an example, it's on the board, so you play this on a creature that's a 2/2. It'll allow you to kill the 6/6, and then the next turn it's going to cost you, or even at the end of that turn, it'll cost you 3 to equip it to another creature, or you can equip it to a Fervent Champion for free, as we mentioned earlier. Then we have 4 Castle Empress, which for a cost of 3 mana plus tapping this mana, so 4 mana in total, gives your creatures a +1/+0 until end of turn, and then 18 standard mana. Now, the idea, again, your win conditions, besides it just being a very strong and fast red aggro deck, are going to be mainly in Torben and Embercleave. Embercleave being the #1 win condition, and Torben being a close second, right? If you get enough stuff on the board, you can just overwhelm the opponent. As an example, a Scorch Spitter is going to do 6 damage when it attacks if it gets through. If you also have a Torben on the board, 3 at a minimum, because it's going to do the 1 damage plus 2 just by attacking with it, which is nice. The sideboard, again, we can go over it quickly, but I don't use the sideboard. If you'd like to see me post some best of 3 and really get into sideboard strategy, leave a comment below and I'll be happy to do so. Red Cap Melee deals 4 damage to a target creature or planeswalker. If a non-red permanent is dealt damage in this way, you can sacrifice a land. This is a really nice 1 mana removal card. It's going to cost you a land if it's a non-red creature you're killing. Then you have Embereth's Shield Breaker, right, which is a battle display. It is a sorcery. Adventure side of the card, you can destroy a target artifact for 1 mana. Very nice. And on the creature side, it's a 2/1. Then you have Fry, which is a fun removal card, right? It's 2 mana. It's an instant. The spell can't be countered, which is also very nice when playing against your blue-white control decks. This spell can't be countered. Fry deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker that's white or blue. So this is just a great card against those blue-white matchups. And then Lava Coil, it's a sorcery card that deals 4 damage to target creature, and that creature gets exiled rather than put into the graveyard, which is nice if you're playing against, you know, an adventure deck. Unchained Berserker has protection from white, also good against your blue-white matchups, and it gets +2/+0 as long as it's attacking. And then Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, and it's a planeswalker that for 0 you can either return a for 0 you can add a counter to planeswalkers, to each planeswalker you control, or you can create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens that gain haste but then get sacrificed at the end of the end step. For a -2, you can cast a target instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost of 3 or less from your graveyard. If that card will be put back into the graveyard this turn, it goes into exile instead. So you can't keep replaying the same card over and over again, unfortunately. And then you have a Tybalt Rakish Instigator, which prevents your opponent from gaining life. Again, another great counter to control decks. For a -2, you can create a 1/1 red devil creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. And that's the sideboard. We won't be showing off the sideboard in gameplay, but unless you request it, but that's what the sideboard looks like. And again, leave a comment below if you want to see those type of videos, and I can put that together and we can talk about sideboard strategy. So that's pretty much the deck. Let's jump into some gameplay and Mythic Ladder and see how it performs. Nayuta. Not great, but I go first, so I'm on the play with 3 mana and some good stuff. I'll keep it. Wah, 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 wah. Okay, that's good for you. Let's get that robber out there. Start eating up his cards. Just a man. That's one thing I don't like about robbers, when we just end up thinning out their deck. Man, the volume seems really loud to me in game. I don't know if it's that loud for you guys. Wah, 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 wah. Let's do a second. Let's attack with everything. Okay, we'll go ahead and kill both of them. Next turn, we'll put out another robber. We'll cast whatever this card. What is this thing? Okay. What's the play here? What is this thing? That thing's dead. No, of course, what we're looking for is a Torben or... That's not it. Go ahead and put this down. Let's attack in with everything. Let's see what else we can get here. Same old thing. I don't like either one of those, to be fair. So let's put this on the board. And hopefully he doesn't have a board wipe, because that would... Yeah, okay, that's game. I'm gonna mulligan this. I mean, I guess... No, I'll keep it since I'm on the draw. Oh my god, why is this guy so slow? Okay. My gosh, are you kidding me? Still no mana? I really need a mana here, or I'm going to lose my Embercleave. If I don't get a mana on the next draw. Wow, 3 lucky clovers. There we go. Thank you. Wow. He's going to get 3 mana on that. But if he doesn't put something out, he's dead. Even if he puts something out, he's probably dead. Oh well. that works as well. Yeah, he would have been dead had he not magically found a stomp in his hand. And now, of course, he's got this big 9/9 whatever that he can't play. Oh my god, of course. He gets another stomp. He can only play one of those. He only has one red mana. Which means I've got him. Because he's going to have to block the 3. Right? So let's put this down. Let's be careful here. Because I do need 3. That's game. Three lucky clovers he had. Okay, well, I think that's enough gameplay. Appreciate you watching the video. Please be sure and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. So why not help a brother out? So you can subscribe by clicking the button right here or the red button below. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you want to see more content like this, leave a comment down below. Give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next video.